Oh, where'd you get your wash tank for greens?
We picked it up from a dairy farm. I put a message out on the Vermont Veg and Berry listserv, and somebody got right back to me. I looked, there are places that sell used dairy equipment, but you don't need a working cooler. Yes, it's a condenser or cooler in those. And they also can be really quite expensive. So we picked one up for $300 or $400 from a dairy farm that had it sitting outside, and got back to me on the Veg and Berry listserv. And we also, some of them come and they're huge. I think that one's a 300-gallon one, and we maybe fill it up with 150 to 200 gallons.
What does your cleaning procedures generally look like?
So definitely, well, first thing when the crew gets here, they've been just making up a bleach mixture. We had just a bottle of diluted bleach, and we're spraying that down. But somebody on our team found an article that it's really better to mix the bleach up right before you use it because it loses potency. So we started doing that basically every day when she gets here, and we're going to be washing and packing greens or other vegetables. We'll just wipe down all those surfaces with a newly made bleach mix, let it evaporate off, dry, and then so we're starting with a clean surface. And then, throughout the day while we're working, just trying to sweep up a little bit so it doesn't get, because it's a hazard as well. It can be pretty slippery on the floor. So we're trying to, sweep up a little bit during the day, and then at the end of the day, we'll do a bigger cleanup, move whatever we have to move. We can spray things down. But we're really just so we know that they're clean surfaces, especially this year with COVID. We've been opting to do the bleach before in the morning, kind of first thing when we get here, rather than at the end of the day, and then you're questioning if was it done or was it not done, and maybe we would have to have a checklist. This way we can it's a standard protocol that we can just do it at the beginning of the day and it's done. We're on a farm, we have a compost pile, we have thousands of pounds of food in the field. There will always be rodents and mice. We're working with an old dairy barn, so we try and keep them under control and trap. But I think that it is a good consideration. Another idea for a cooler would be to hardware cloth the whole thing. But it's a consideration because we want to keep rodents away from our finished, or away from the process as much as possible. Not to mention how much damage they do in a seedling house. We got a couple estimates to just break out the floor in that front kind of third of the old dairy barn. They seemed kind of expensive, and then we revisited them. And when we kind of finally went, we had some grant money, and we finally went to confirm. It wasn't that much later, but we went to confirm with 2 different cement contractors. They both then never got back to us. So we were going to break that pad out and put drains in there, make it all sloped. I mean, that would definitely be an improvement because there are some areas in there where the concrete's chipped. We've looked through all the things we can do, and the only way to pour on top of it so the cracks don't show is to basically create another floating pad, and that would have we would have had our heads in the ceiling. So I guess if we had more capital to work with right from the beginning, it would have been ideal to be able to break out the existing barn floor and put drains, because we only have right now 1 trench drain and then a couple PVC 2x coming up where we can drain sinks right into. But just having a slope and more drains would be awesome, but it's the way that it worked out. It was a bit out of our control that then these contractors chose to not come and not take the job on. So if in an ideal world, maybe that would be one improvement in our wash pack area, to not have, there are a couple of areas where water just collects. We're not washing there, but if they get wet, you've got to kind of sweep them out of there so they'll dry. I think a lot of it has to do with capital. If there were more grants out there, it's been great to get a couple grants that are in the $10,000 range, because that really helps you make significant improvements. If there were a couple more, I think we could only do better what we're doing. We could work in a more comfortable environment, and we could potentially increase. We don't foresee increasing the growing area that much, but we could probably increase our capacity with, you know, another cooler in there rather than having this one outside. Be able to even expand that, because now that area with 150 CSA members plus our wholesale market, that's definitely enough, the 20 by 25 feet, and we like it that way because it's an area that we could easily heat during the winter just with a little electric heater for now. But it would be nice to be able to expand into a bigger area. So I think that things that we would done differently is just like really keep your head out and look for available grants, because it is incredibly hard to earn enough profit to build out a really nice wash pack station farming. I mean, you really need some capital from somewhere else to get going, and keeping our kind of the loans that we have at the bare minimum really makes our family's life better, puts us in a position where we could potentially make changes that if we were in a different situation with even more debt, we would have to potentially keep doing something that we're committed to, but it's not really working. So I think if we would done anything differently, it would just be spend a little more time in the winter looking for different grants to have more capital to work with.
What was the estimate to do the floor?
In the $7,000 range.
Okay, yeah.
And that trench drain, but that was also not, I think that was not including the grate that would go in the trench drain. You can get plastic grates for pretty cheap, or you can get a metal grate that's a bit more expensive. It was not including all the material to do the water line, and we were gonna haul all the debris away. So it was, it would have been more than that. Maybe we would have spent a couple more $1,000s. They also suggested, just right off the bat, laying some poly line in to do radiant heat, which would be really nice, but is also, we don't live in there. We're not walking in there with bare feet, so
yeah,
it might be nice to have a little water heater and do radiant heat, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's not necessary.
It does help dry out the space too.
And
It's
so
just,
maybe
wet
safety.
floor, so yeah, and poly's pretty cheap. So when the time comes,
Exactly.
it is a good thing to consider.
That's what they were recommending. The poly is so cheap. I mean, you might as well just lay it in there, and it would give you the option to do that in the future.
Right.
Oh, my favorite features are, having an area that is nice to work in, that we don't get to work and think like, oh, geez, got to spend half of the day in there. There's really nice light coming in there. There's like some wood paneling, so it's just a nice place to be in. I think that, along with having a really nice big tank to wash our greens in and having spinners, that whole setup I'm pretty pleased with. Also really pleased with having a cooler now inside the barn. Whereas for the last 3 years and most of this year, every single piece of produce has been lifted up. A significant step to get into this cooler, to get out of the washroom and then to get into the cooler. And now we can just wheel a lot more things. So carrots are being washed coming in, they're set on the floor, and then they can just be wheeled from there on out with a little hand truck. I'm really pleased with that. So that, we can just keep wear and tear off our bodies as much as possible.
What is the most helpful information you received from UVM Extension or other organizations? You mentioned getting a couple different grants.
Oh, the most useful, I don't know, honestly, if there's one piece of information that I can say like that was the most useful. I think it was incredibly useful to have Hans and Andy come here in the beginning, and they both of them also really saw the light potential of our barn, kind of the aspect it's facing, and said like, bring light in here. That was something that really stuck with me, so I think that was important. Then at all different aspects of the build out, having someone to call and ask a question to, or point me in the direction of resources. I mean, even if I'd heard it already, then, when we were building this cooler, thinking about, oh geez, do we want to use the metal siding? or is there another material, even though I had kind of read over some of the fact sheets, again, having another conversation, checking in with what another person thinks about it, and leading me towards some materials to just refresh my memory, that has been incredibly helpful. So I think like having allies in the whole process, so you're not just doing it on your own. YouTube is awesome. You can learn a lot of different things on YouTube. You can see how other farms are making it work. But having some people who really work on this, are experts, and this is what they do, being able to talk with them and bounce an idea off of, that's incredibly helpful. I don't know another place. I assume that Maine probably has a program like that, but I think if you were in most of the country, you would not have access to a team like the UVM Produce Safety Team.